Hey everybody, welcome to Lore Friday for January 8th, 2021. I'm your host, DM Galabond. Alright, so Fred the Fighter, Connie the Cleric, Rachel the Rogue, Wally the Wizard. They had been tracking their quarry in the realm under the ruins of Tyre Bessel. They had descended down to the Temple of Elemental Evil, and they had fought their way through that level. And then they noticed the way down, led by a waterfall. They found a way to get down without plunging over the cataract themselves, because you never know what's down there. And now they come out in an area that's something like a nightmare. Underground tunnels flooded with water. Eerie blue and green glows that cast dim light and strange shadows. And something so eerie that even their own minds are starting to play tricks on them. They have descended into the Plunging Torrents. And that's the subject of today's Lore Friday. So let's go ahead and jump right into this and talk a little bit about the plunging cataract or the plunging torrents, what they are, and how you will find them. Now, as usual, for the better part of the last year, actually, we've been, for at least the last few months, yeah, at least for the last few months. I think maybe it was June, July when we started on this. We've been looking at the individual adventures that comprise um, the Princes of the Apocalypse campaign. This is a campaign published by Wizards of the Coast for 5th edition D&D. The date of publication is April 7th, 2015. This particular adventure is aimed at level 12 characters, the way it's written. Now, if you're looking for adventures for a home game that you want to pull out of context and you need something for a specific theme, the theme of this particular adventure is foiling a villain's evil scheme. The setting, as we alluded to before, and we'll take a look at when we look at our maps in a few minutes, is flooded underground caverns where the characters lack both light and often have to remain underwater. So, the cult of Ohydra has discovered a portal to the elemental plane of water and is attempting to summon their princess through it to drown the world. And the most powerful forces and allies of the cult of elemental water will be faced and fought in this location. So, what do you have to do here? Well, first you have to get through all the watery traps. Then you have to fight all the terrible water monsters. Then you must survive a tribe of crazed Kuotoa, the little fishmen people, and deal with their god, which is an aboleth. Oh. And you're facing the aboleth on its home territory, underwater. Makes it even more of a terrifying adversary. And if you get past all of that, finally you face off against cult leader Gar Shatterkeel. And if you're lucky, he only has water elemental myrmidons with him. But if you catch him at just the wrong time, you're going to be facing him along with a water elemental myrmidon, and Old Hydra herself, the princess of evil elemental water. The most often you're going to encounter humanoid cultists in this adventure. Um, as you go through there, the toughest encounter obviously would be Gar Shatterkeel with three enemies: Gar Shatterkeel, Water Elemental Myrmidon, and Ol Hydra. Um, Special things you'll find in here: the legendary weapon Drown. Weapon Drown has been around at least as long as the um, White Plume Mountain. And the first place I remember seeing the weapons that are part of this module or part of this campaign are in White Plume Mountain, but I don't know if they actually originated in the Temple of Elemental Evil, the original edition of it, or whether they originated in White Plume Mountain and eventually made their way there. But they have a long history with the Temple of Elemental Evil throughout the editions of the game. So that trident called Drown is here. And obviously an evil princess from the elemental plane of water and Ol Hydra. That's a pretty powerful and unique item, special item that you or creature that you would find here. My personal favorite part of this adventure is just the wonderful map of water-filled tunnels that make a really challenging, really challenging and unusual environment compared to what you see a lot of times in D&D adventures. Easiest homebrew adaptation. It's a great setting for any kind of flooded area. Think about maybe during a natural disaster, if there's been like a tsunami or something like that, and you want to have a place that's been flooded, um, or if there's a result of a magical catastrophe that has inundated an area with water, and you want flooded tunnels that you're going through and whatnot. Um, and you can easily adapt it to other editions just by populating it with water creatures from any edition. And if you want to capture the full feel of how this is done, use water creatures from older versions of the Temple of Elemental Evil. So look at the water node in those older versions of the adventure, and look at that. All right, so the Plunging Torrents has. Let's take a look at a map first, just for giggles and grins. Okay, everything always has a starting area P1, and then it works its way all the way up. I think up to P20 in this particular adventure, and so the general characteristics of this: you have cavern ceilings 10 feet above the water. Walls are rough, slippery stone, requiring strength checks to climb. There's always currents, and the closer you get to waterfalls, the more rapid those currents get, and it takes a DC 15 strength show, or you start getting pulled away, and that water becomes difficult terrain for everybody who swims. So whatever your swimming speed is, you have to do 2 squares of movement to move 1 square. Uh, Interior doors are made of stone and don't have locks or keyholes. Dim illumination from the green glows, or green and blue glows. Most water is 20 feet deep, and waterfalls are 40 feet high. You don't take damage from falling into the basin, but you have to succeed on a strength check or be driven 10 feet underwater and restrained there. You you can use its action to make a strength check to end the restrained condition. So that's just a little bit of an added thing that, kind of an annoyance. But hey, like if you happen to get caught in a waterfall and you're wearing heavy armor, and then you get restrained, okay, well now you start to have those disadvantages on those things because of that heavy armor, and that really begins to be um, can be a little bit terrifying if you get restrained underwater and you can't break out because you're eventually going to start drowning. And then, of course, as we mentioned in the summary, there's an aboleth. And as you go to every new area, there is a chance that the aboleth will make telepathic contact with one of the characters. And if the characters responds back to it, oh, now there's a link. And now the aboleth knows what's very important to you as a character. And it knows how to psychologically torture you by showing you all of the things you love being flooded and drowned, destroyed. It's hopeless. Just come, accept the embrace of the sea, and I will feast on your bones. Of course, that's what the aboleth is thinking. And, then there's random encounters in here. Um, and everything from giant octopus and ice methods to cultists mounted on water weirds and swarms and swarms of biting fish. And so now an interesting thing: the symbol of water. If you have the symbol of water scratched into your flesh, you gain a swimming speed equal to your walking speed, and you're immune to effects of currents and suffer no negative effects from descending a waterfall. Um, and inscribing the mark deals one slashing damage and leaves a scar. And healing magic that removes the scar will also remove the capabilities it grants. Okay, so the it starts with there's a waterfall, and there is a large watery 7-foot globe. You'll see these things throughout this area. And if you enter the globe, you're fully immersed in water, but you become able to breathe, uh, able to benefit from water breathing as long as you remain in the globe. And it flies. And so um, you can use those globes to move around. Now, of course, the thing is, people are going to see those things and probably not want to go in there because they're afraid of potentially drowning. But um, it's kind of like a taxi system almost within this area. Uh, so plunging passage. We go over here to area 2, and it starts to go down towards area 3 here to the nets. And there's a bunch of giant crabs in this cavern over here in area 3. And if you grab onto the nets or try to pass under the nets, the crabs will come out and start attacking. Um, There's an entrance to the temple over here in area 4. And then 5 and 6 would be the Shrine of Ingumklub. Yin Guckalub. Yin Gupalub is the Shrine of Yin Gupalub. And that, of course, is a shrine from the Kuatoa people. And the aboleth from Area 6 comes here to feed on sacrifices. Because, yes, the aboleth lives right over here in Area P6. And the aboleth is Yinguckalub the Devourer. is allied himself or has allied itself with the cult of Crushing Wave. The Kuo-toa bring the Aboleth sacrifices, and when they don't have enough to sacrifice, they willingly offer themselves because they're just that nuts. And if Gar Shatterkeel was defeated, the Yuckalub is not here, but is guarding the water portal in Area P20. So triple eyes of the aboleth depicted in the columns are actually emeralds, sapphires, and blue-green opals, and they're worth 1,000 gold pieces each. And there's some magic items and more loot lying on the floor of the aboleth's cave. There is a pit that has a bunch of equippers, which are like the D&D version of Piranha. Over here in, where is it, P7? Did you go P7? Oh, right here. Okay. P8, sloping cave. There's a roper and 4 piercers. Cling to the cavern ceiling and just looks to drop down and bite people. There's an outpost of the cult at P9, and the water's only 5 feet deep. There's crushing wave reavers, and then there are trolls that are here as well to attack the unwary. Now there's a trial by water. And what this is in P10, this is where bad cultists get punished. There's 8 of them alive in this cage and 4 dead ones in there. A wrought iron cage dangles from a rope lashed to a stalactite. 3/4 of the cage hangs submerged in the pool that fills the middle of the cavern. A dozen humanoids pack the cage. Elemental water symbols raised on a scar in every brow. Tired hands grasp the bars. The captives struggle to press their mouths above the water. Among the massive wrestling forms, some lay still, floating face down inside the cage. So they, despite how they're being treated, if you let them out, oh, they're not going to be happy. They're going to attack you because they're cultists, and they're just kind of annoying in that way. There is a giant octopus in here, in area P11, and then in P12 there is a feeding cave, and there's a big drum in here and floating corpse, and there's some undead areas. The hungry ghouls and a ghast. So there's undead down here as well. Just to make things a little bit even more creepy. Eye of Anguish is in area 14 over here, and that is a one-eyed shiver, which is a special monster for this particular module. Frosty mist fills the cave. Icicles and water crystals glitter along ledges and ceilings and walls. A brittle crust of ice surrounds the central aisle, which crouches a pale-skinned, bare-chested man wearing an eye patch, surrounded by 7 cackling, prancing, imp-like creatures made of ice. 5 humans are spread eagle against the far wall, frozen to its surface, their skin black from frostbite. This is where they torture people. And this guy is kind of like the torturer. He's a lovely person. 15 reflection chamber. A throne made of coral and seashells stands on the rock at the center of the chamber. And the cult leader uses as a personal treat where he reflects on the future of his cult. And the water radiates divination magic under the scrutiny of detect magic. Um, and you can once a day use the scrying spell uh, to which limits you to creatures and locations within the plunging torrents. There's no saving throw and turns the pool surface into a scrying sensor. And then there's some treasure in here. Encrusted with sapphires and pearls, an narwhal horn is worth 10,000 gold pieces. And a creature holding the narwhal horn in this cave feels it tug toward the reflective water. So there's then kind of almost like a barracks, if you will, a weird sort of barracks in this P16 is where there's barracks for water weirds, as well as two humanoid hammocks made of fishing nets. And then there's the water elemental guardian, Myrmidon, which patrols Area 17. Where are you, Area 17? Area 17, where are you? Come on, 17. Did they forget to mark a 17 on the map? I'm going to guess that 17 is supposed to be. Oh, no, here it is. Here it is. Here it is. Right over here. All right. Then there's the Rex. Heavy rain batters what must be a gigantic cavern. Walls and ceiling lost in the driving storm. Even the roar of the waterfalls to the northwest and south hush. Okay, shattered hulks of sailing vessels lean upon their sides. Barnacles cling to the hulls. Humanoid skeletons droop from the rigging or lay in tangled piles. The seaweed hangs from the gunnels. All right, a hydra. A hydra is among these wrecks here. And maybe these ships are pirate ships because they carry treasure chest. Oh, it is a Kalashite pirate ship. Carries a chest laden with treasure. And, alright, there's vortices in here. And then finally there's the water portal. And if you get in here, you'll see more of those water globes coming around. You might encounter the Aboleth, you might encounter Gar Shatterkeel, or you might encounter Ol Hydra herself, along with Gar Shatterkeel. And as we said a couple of weeks ago, we were looking at the, I believe it was the Air Cult. We were looking at that particular node. The only way to defeat Ol Hydra without fighting her, Ol Hydra is probably more than a match for your level 12 party. You can defeat her by throwing the trident through the portal, which will both destroy the portal and pull Ol Hydra back to the elemental plane of water, and then it will mean it's going to take a long time before people can open up a portal to the elemental plane of water like that again. Because the key basically is being destroyed. Now, let's take a look at two of the people you may find here. Gar Shatterkeel is the leader of the water cult, and he he's like a humanoid that has a normal hand on one side, and on the other side, he has a giant lobster claw. And that is pretty awful. Think about him standing there. With that, he can attack with that claw. He can attack with his trident. He's a spellcaster that can cast spells. So he does a lot of things that are really not very nice. Plus, if he has old Hydra with him, he gets lair actions. So now normally he is a CR9 by himself, but you bump up those lair actions, you're gonna make him probably a little bit more powerful as well. All right, and then the big bad, guaranteed to probably wreck your party's day, is Ol Hydra herself. So Ol Hydra is a CR18 uh, huge elemental. Uh, Attacks with a plus 11, dealing 3d10 plus 5 bludgeoning damage. Gets Hydra, or gets these legendary actions here, and gets lair actions. Because when it comes through into a water node, it then acts like that node is part of its lair. Uh, Part of those lair actions, pools of water in a lair surge outward in a grasping tide. Any creature within 20 feet of a pool needs to succeed on a strength save or be pulled in. And water will obey its commands. And generally, yeah, just after you've expended all of your resources making it this far, now you face the big bad boss. So, once again, like I said early on, the thing I like about this is I like the interesting use of this map here. It's a great map for flooded tunnels. I mean, this could be like a flooded mine. It could be a flooded, um, you know, part of just a flooded exploration area. Maybe is where you're having to try to rescue people or things like that, and you can literally take as much or as little of and all of that kind of good stuff. So that's the Plunging Torrents. I'd be really curious if you have played the Plunging Torrents, whether you've run it as a DM or whether you have played through it as a player. What did you like the best about it? What was cool about it? Were there things that felt like it was clunky to you here? I think that it's really kind of cool the way they are able to build all these different strata of the cult and build them up. And so you do really constantly feel like you're fighting your way up as you get more and more powerful, because ultimately you're going after the person that's the head of each of these elemental cults. And so I wonder if other people also, uh, get that same sense when they play through it. All right, that's gonna do it for me. Thank you, everybody, for stopping by for Lore Friday. I have been DM Galabond. This has been our discussion of um, the Plunging Torrents, and hope that you all will have a safe and wonderful weekend. Take care, everyone. Good night.